Conversations. Wow. That's a peach, isn't it? We like to think that we're good communicators. And even as a counselor, a peer support mentor, I don't always know how to effectively communicate either. And that's fine. We're not supposed to get it right all the time. However, I'd like you guys to notice when you're talking with the narcissist, there is a pattern. Oh, there's a pattern of communication. And that pattern is usually one-sided. See, effective communication is to have a meeting of the minds, to grow and learn and find some sort of common ground between you and the other person you're having a conversation with. Makes sense, right? But not so with the narcissist. They conversate to be heard, not to be comprehended in the way of hearing them. But they want you to just listen. That's the type of hearing they want from you. They just want you to listen. And if you can nod and say, yes, I agree, well, then that's validating for them. They don't want you to go against their grain. And they certainly are not invested in hearing anything that you have to say. If you have something to say, well, then it should line up with what they're already saying to you. See, the conversational narcissist is very good at keeping and holding your attention. But they don't retain the information that you have to give them. And that's where it kind of rubs you raw. And you have to get to a point where you have to say enough is enough. Because healthy communication is this. When you really listen to hear what the other person is saying so that you can step yourself into their perspective and understand the situation from their point of view. And they can do the same with you. This is what we call a meeting of the minds. And this is how people bond. When you listen, not to respond, but listen to really hear and authentically validate the other person and approach the conversation in love, because love is not just all about saying yes. Love is about saying, wait a minute, in my opinion, I think you might be a little bit wrong, and here's why I think that way. Here's a different perspective for you to consider. Now, narcissists, they don't want to hear that. They don't want you to offer them any other perspective, because that means that they have to change. And when a narcissist communicates with you, they often think and believe that they are right. And you, well, they won't go so far as to say you're wrong, but if you're not in congruence with them, then your words don't line up with what they're saying, then they're just not going to retain what you have to say. It will go over their heads. I'm serious. Take a look at your text messages and go over your conversations with those people you suspect are narcissists. you will notice that you give more emotion, you give more emotional detail, you give more backstory, you give more feedback than they do to you. You, my dear, are in a one-sided conversation that is going nowhere. It's flat. And you will reach a point where you have had enough. And even though you have verbalized enough is enough, the conversational narcissist will still entertain you with their thoughts and their words. Because they don't hear you to hear you. They just want an audience that entertains their bright ideas. So, what do you do? Don't give them an audience. Ignore them. It's called tough love. Not just for them, but for yourself.